Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Kim Gamez.
You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Kim.
Hey, how are you?
We're good. How's it going?
Good.
I like
Can't
it.
complain.
I like it. Well, let's get this show started. So tell us a little bit about you, kind of like what do you actually do?
Well, that's a loaded question. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years. I'm also a real estate investor, and then I've been called a shameless hustler. So that's kind of the three things that I do right now. So I've been investing in real estate for the last 20 years, and I've also been a licensed agent. About 5 years ago, I had an idea for what is now Meet by the Dino. We're an app. So I started a software company and an app, raised like $2 million from investors, did the whole Shark Tank style, flew around the country raising money, had millions of users of the platform. And right now it's a really exciting time because we're in a transition of that company. And so I'm getting back now into real estate full time. And so I've been a licensed agent, like I've said, but it's more now on the real estate investment front.
That's awesome. So tell us more about the app. Like what is actually, tell us more about it.
I'm curious about that whole situation too. Yeah.
So my husband was born and raised in Mexico, and so we've been married for 20 years, and we've been raising our 5 children with Hispanic traditions. And over the last 20 years, we've owned restaurants and banquet facilities. And so I've had firsthand experience planning traditional Hispanic events. And I was just shocked that all of these events, whether it be quinceañeras or Hispanic weddings, were all planned offline. And being an entrepreneur and watching too much Shark Tank, I realized that there was a huge market, for if I were to build something. And so we ended up selling one of our restaurants and the banquet facility so I could launch our app. We had a 600 user goal that first year. We had 50,000 people use it. And so I convinced my husband to sell our other restaurant and for us to go into it full time. Last year we had over 1 million users of the platform, and it's not only in the US, but in Mexico. It's pretty sweet, but not anything that I thought I'd be doing in my lifetime, but I have a great team and I'm really excited about the future for that company.
That's awesome. Good for you. So let's back it up a little bit when you were younger. What did you have planned for your future when you were younger? Were you like, I'm going to go do this, build this, or I'm going to go do real estate? What was your plan?
I was raised by real estate investors, and actually my parents, they owned Coldwell Banker Archway. So they were brokers in our town. So I was raised around real estate and by entrepreneurs, but I never thought I'd get into real estate. So when I was little, I always wanted to be a nurse. Mm-hmm. And then when I was in high school, I learned that I had a knack for hair and makeup. And so I was like, I'm going to go to cosmetology school, but I'm not going to just work in a salon. I'm going to own a salon. Again, raised by entrepreneurs, I'm like thinking big then. I'm going to own my own salon. But I had surgery during beauty school and I had to be off school for 6 weeks. And so when I was off school, my dad's like, hey, you should take this real estate class. You can get licensed like within a week and then you could do it on the side. And so I did, took the real estate class, took my boards, double dipped a house that like next week. So, I listed a house and then I brought a buyer to it. Basically, I made a $6,000 commission and I sat back and said, you know how many heads of hair I will have to do to make $6,000? And so I never went back to beauty school. So I'm officially a beauty school dropout. And I got my license to sell real estate when I was 18. And then like a month or two later, I bought my first rental. And that's kind of where the story began there.
That's crazy.
Nice.
Do you still have a bunch of rentals now?
Yeah. So we went from that duplex and we only had, there was like 5 or 6 doors is what we call them, or units, until about 5 years ago. And then we bought our first apartment complex. So it took it up to 30 doors. And then in the last 5 years, 2 or 3 years ago, we bought another 40 units. And so this year I had a goal. I wanted to get to 100 units by the end of the year. And we have an additional 20 units right now under contract. So we will be at 107 units by the end of the year.
Nice.
Wow,
So, yes.
Nice work. You're only halfway through.
Goal. Yeah.
Thanks. I'm all about like putting my goals into the universe, and it's just really so that other people can ask me about them and be like, so how's your goal? Or so when people hear of something, they're like, oh, Kim has a goal, right? Of like hitting this. So, they'll help me reach it.
It's so true. Especially if you just say it out loud, it's a whole lot different because you're like, oh, I actually said it. So I got
making that
commitment
go through to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
that's awesome. So your parents were also in real estate, but they were investors as well, right? Is that what you were saying? Yeah,
they owned their own brokerage, and so they had an office, and they actually had 2 locations in our town. And then, but they had like I think 30 or some doors or units that they managed. So
that's awesome.
I was really excited when I hit that. I was like, oh my gosh, my mom and dad would be so proud.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. And now you're at 107, almost.
We have a closing on Monday. Let's not jinx it.
Oh yeah, almost there. Almost there.
Nice. So is there any advice that maybe your parents gave you or anybody when you first transitioned into real estate that just kind of stuck with you throughout the years?
Yeah. So, my dad, when I first got my real estate license, he had told me, in his words, he's like, always make sure you have your makeup done and you look nice when you go in public. And at the time, like, I'm not going to be done up every time I leave. He goes, Kim, you don't know. You're in real estate. You're always working. And so he goes, the time that you show up to, the grocery store in sweatpants and looking like a hot mess is when you're going to run into somebody and they're going to want to talk real estate. And you're only 18, so they're not going to take you seriously and they'll never give you that lead or that opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so that's really just stuck with me. So now I'm just kind of prepared for life at all times. Like whenever I leave the house, and not that I have to put a ton of makeup on or whatever, but it's just like, I look like I have my stuff together. So when I do maybe run into somebody at the store, you just never know. Some people know, they know me, but I might not know them. And so if I'm portraying someone else, and so that's just something that's really stuck with me. Just be prepared for life, just be prepared, at every moment for being, especially in real estate, for being on. So
yeah, 100%.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's been multiple times I've talked to, I don't feel good and I go to the store and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to see anybody. And then you run into that person. You're like, mm-hmm. Oh no. So yeah, that's definitely true. That happens a lot. Always be prepared.
Right.
That's awesome. What is one of the worst properties you've been to?
Oh my gosh. So we own Gamez Properties. That's the company that invests in real estate. My husband and I own it together. And so they always know that we're looking for a good fix or flip, what have you. And oh my gosh, we went to this one property. And he said, it's close to the lake and you could see the lake from the property. And, I'm just kind of whatever we can get for it. And I thought, we're going to score on this one. We're going to get it dirt cheap. And we went over there and there was mold in every room. The foundation was buckling, that there was all these issues outside, that everything was contaminated. And I thought, not only is the demo of this property, I was it's going to cost X, Y, and Z. It's almost I told my husband, he goes, well, don't you think that there's still an opportunity here? I'm it kind of seems like a free dog. It might be free, but there's going to be so much money. We would be better just buying a vacant piece of property for this. But oh my gosh, it was awful. I mean, it was just, there was mold in the walls and it was contaminated and it should have been condemned, but it wasn't because it was in the middle of nowhere and the township didn't know about it. It was just awful, absolutely awful.
Man. Yeah. Those are scary when you walk into them and you're like, you don't know if your health is compromised at that point when you walk out of them.
Yeah. I honestly got that. I'm going to fall through the floor. And I didn't realize the foundation was an issue until we were already in the house.
Right. Yeah.
So it was just awful. I'm we need to get out of here right now.
Yeah. So. That's awesome. Here, let's pause it here.
We're going to pause for just 1 second.
We're right back.
No problem.
Brad's computer's about to shut off. So we're just going to get the charger real quick. And then we'll just pick right back up where we left off.
No worries. Where are you guys based?
We are in Eaton Rapids. So you're in Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're not too far. We're only 25, 30 minutes away from you.
Yeah, I didn't know how big your audience was or where you're trying to farm this out to. So I didn't know if I should throw Jack. I've been on podcasts and I'm talking to a national audience. So I didn't know.
This is going to go everywhere.
Say Jackson. So.
Yeah,
right.
You can if you want to. There's no, if you want to gain clients in that area, your clients are probably going to see this. So that's something, cool. If you want to mention it, absolutely you can. Other than that, it goes basically everywhere. We have found a lot of our audience is real estate agents. They're kind of just bouncing off ideas back and forth to each other by watching it. Sometimes they're new, sometimes they're experienced. So it just kind of depends. But we've seen a whole range of business owners watching it.
Sweet. We're good to go. Okay. I had 30% when we started, and then literally I get a notification that says 5%. 5%. I was like, what? That was 10 minutes.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we left off with the worst property. we can just pick back up on a new question whenever you're ready, Brad.
I'll let you go, Taylor.
Okay. So you kind of already met your goal for this year. What other goals do you have coming up that you want to accomplish?
Well, right now, I'm still very much a part of our app. So the software company. So I'm focused there, but we are going through a transition period, which is really exciting. I can't talk a lot about it, but next is, probably Kim jumping back into Gamez Properties full-time on the investment side. I'm really excited. I was talking about putting your goals out into the world. And so I'm part of an investment group on Facebook, and I had put on there like, hey, what is everybody's goals? Like, what do you guys want to do this year in the next 5 years? Just because I like putting mine out, what is everybody else doing? And so we're like, I want to buy my first door, or I want to get to 1,000. And they threw all these out. This guy, he goes, I want 417 doors. He goes, you want to know why? He goes, because I average $200 net profit per door, times that by, monthly, by 12 months in a year, that's $1 million net profit. And so I came home and I was like to my house, I go, my new goal is 417 doors. So he was like, I thought it was 100. I'm like, it was 100 this year.
Yeah.
Maybe my 5-year goal is 417.
Yeah.
It's a very specific number too, 417.
I know. So random. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I have 5 kids, and with flying all around the country, with our software company, I'm really excited about kind of taking a step back and spending some quality time with the kids. And just really focusing on our family business, what we've built. I also love coaching. And so I work with a lot of companies and teams, whether it be in the software space or real estate. And so I'm really excited to be able to take on some more clients there too.
That's awesome. So when you started the software, is there a software company is there anything you do differently now that if you had to start over now?
Yeah, I think it's the dreaming big, but starting small. If that makes sense. So right now it's like, for a new agent, they might come in and say, oh, I want to sell. So I'm in Jackson. So, I want to sell every house in Jackson, kind of any, whatever. They just want to get in it and, do whatever they can. If Jackson is their big goal, then start small. Like, how can I dominate this sliver? How can I go out and be, let's say this price range to this price range in this school district, or I want to attract, this is my buyer or seller in this school district or in this part of town. Focus on that, do it really well, multiply it. So like for Mi Padrino, which is our app, we started with quinceañeras, but then when we were rolling out our vendor platform where people could advertise, it's like, we can't just have everyone in the world advertise, because then we're not helping anyone in any specific city. So we went after Chicago, and we said, this is what we're doing in Chicago. We're going to master Chicago. Then we're going to go over and take over Texas. So it was like, build a plan small to be able to take over the universe here. So just start really small, build kind of like that workbook, of like, or a roadmap. So I can do it here. What can I do now to go here, here, here?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. How do you balance everything? You've got so much going on with your family and then your positions, and you're an entrepreneur. So I'm sure you don't have time off ever. How do you balance everything? Do you time block, or how do you do that?
So my calendar, I'm very strict with like what I have on my calendar. I mark that in my calendar. Like I prepared an hour before this podcast, I was like, need to prepare for the podcast, make sure I have a book ready. You guys are going to ask me about but prepare, for the different tasks. I'm a list maker, and I literally put like a check mark by every day. Every morning I wake up and I want to finish my list by the end of the day. Or I have a Monday list that is like my week list. It sounds like I'm a nut, but I have my week list, and then I know I need to get this done by the end of the week. But then every day I make my daily list, and I don't go to bed until stuff's done. So it's really easy to be like, oh, I have to post this video on social media or whatever, and to get kind of lost in that like social media game, or lost in the emails, or lost on what sales coming into my inbox. It's like, nope, I got to do all this stuff first, and then I can go and do whatever else. I just try to really manage my time. So like when one of my kids does get sick, I'm like, I didn't have this in my calendar. But I also, I feel like I try to build strong relationships with people. So on the business front, that if something does come up, I'm very proactive, giving them time and access to my calendar to reschedule, and I just try to stay really organized.
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful all the way around in business, especially in real estate, I feel like. And you have your app that you're working on too, just because, I mean, your time can, like you said, get lost with so many different things going on.
Yeah. I mean, so the app's my full-time job. I mean, I work, during, the daytime hours on that, but then I'll carve out, like today, a couple hours of time to do something else. But knowing that, last weekend I was doing, I take a couple hours on Saturday and on Sunday to follow up on tasks that weren't done during the week. I also have that, I don't even know how to explain it. As an entrepreneur, it's like a curse, so it's like, you don't turn off. So like in the middle of the night, I'll find myself like waking up and I'll grab my phone and I'll make a note, some crazy thought or idea or something that I want. And so it just doesn't turn off. So just being able to like make my lists and channel my energies and the things that I need to get done, trying to stay organized. And then, that's kind of my life.
That's crazy.
But I also want to show like every other, especially female entrepreneur out there, or any girls that are in school and they try to either say, I want to put my, do I start a family, or do I do this or work, or, do I start my own business? And it's like, you don't have to choose, girl. Just do it.
You can
like, there are lots of hours in the day to do it all. I'm at every single one of my kids' sporting events. I, volunteer at school. I still do the things that, Miss Susie Homemaker does, but it just, I make sure I put it in my calendar, work around it, but you can do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you mentioned a book earlier. You were preparing and you mentioned a book. What book did you prepare with?
So I just read this book, Your Next 5 Moves. And it really, everyone, hang on a second. Sorry about that.
There we go.
So the book I just got done reading is Your Next 5 Moves. And a lot of people have asked me, like, how do you, like you just said, like, how do you do it? How do you think, or also how do you see like a big vision, or how do you see that like $1 billion, opportunity? And it really is like, it's all about chess, which I don't even know how to play chess, but it's all about how do you see 5 moves ahead and then work backwards to get there. And so even with real estate, like, what's your goal? X. Okay, work 5 steps back, and each one there's going to be roadblocks. So how are you going to get through those? So if you want to take over Jackson, Michigan, well, how are you going to go against all these other agents that have been here before you? How are you going to do this, this, and this? And then so you can make a plan on how to be able to go right through those roadblocks. But you have to think of that 5 moves ahead first before you should even begin. Does that make sense? But it's a really good book.
I like it.
Yeah.
That one I haven't read yet.
I haven't even heard of it. Yeah. But do you do audiobooks at all?
Oh, like normally that's the only thing I do, like podcasts and audiobooks. I mean, I'll throw it. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but I'll have like my phone in the shower with me, and I'm like listening to a podcast or an audiobook. And then I love my commute because our office for Mi Padrino was before the pandemic in Ann Arbor. And I used to love my commute because I'd just be like, oh, I get all this free time to myself to listen to all my goodies. But yeah.
That's awesome. How can people get a hold of you?
So Kim Gamez, so it's, my last name is Gamez. So kimgamez.com. That has, everything about me. So it's about our app. It has about our real estate, investment company. It also has, if you're interested in like coaching or mentorship or anything like that, it's all there.
Awesome. I like it. Well, hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, it was so nice meeting you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
it might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And it's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
I don't think this is working.
This is not working.
Yeah.